My name is Taylor DeBoer, and I am an integrative health coach with a specialization in gut health. Did you know that our gut health has a huge impact on our mood and behavior? The microbiome, which is another name for the environment inside our digestive tract or our stomachs, impacts how we feel on a day-to-day basis, our behaviors, how happy we are, how depressed you might be feeling, your anxiety levels. There are more than 100 trillion bacteria living in our gut, which is, the bacteria is also called microbes. There are 10 times more bacteria in our gut than there are cells in our body. There are more microbes on a single hand than there are people in the world. So that's pretty vast if you really think about it. The average adult has about 1,200 different species of bacteria inside their gut. So while 1,200 does seem like a big number, when you compare that number to a ancient tribe living in the Amazonas of Venezuela, that number of diversity that they have in their gut is 1,600. So there's this big gap between what our bodies are used to having to what modern day diet is doing to the diversity inside our gut. Modern day technology has led to a lot of grocery stores stocking their shelves with highly processed, sweetened, and calorie dense foods that are stripped of the dietary fiber that is essential for gut diversity, and they're also sanitized to prolong their shelf life. And when you sanitize products, you're killing a lot of the good bacteria that is essential to healthy gut balance. Types of food that we eat now shows that there is a huge deviation to what our bodies are used to getting throughout our evolutionary history. To get a better picture of what a fully functional microbiome or gut looks like, you can look at the last remaining full-time hunter-gatherer tribe in Africa called the Hadzas. The Hadzas Diet and microbiome provides the closest modern day approximation to what our ancestors' gut would have looked like thousands of years ago. The Hadzas consume between 100 and 150 grams of fiber a day. And to compare that to what most people get now, we only eat, or the average American only gets 10 to 15 grams of fiber per day. So I mean, that's a pretty drastic gap when our bodies are used to getting at least 100 grams of fiber per day, and now if you're lucky we get 10. And fiber is so important to gut bacteria diversity. The fiber feeds the bacteria. So if you're not feeding the bacteria in your stomach, it's going to die and the diversity will be less. A good metaphor to use is think of like a jar of jelly beans. And when you have a jar of jelly beans, there's like tons of different flavors and colors, and it's like a rainbow and super pretty. So, you have one jar that has all these pretty colors and there's like every flavor in there, and then you can have another jar where there's not that many different flavors and there's just a few and it's not as pretty to look at. That's a good comparison. So you have the Hadzas microbiome, which has the greater diversity, versus a average American microbiome, which doesn't have as much diversity. The difference in gut bacteria is not only found among American adults, but you can also see it in children. Children should have a large bacteria diversity, especially since they're developing an immune system, and a lot of the bacteria in our gut establishes a strong immune system. So you would want to find a greater diversity in the gut of a child versus an adult, but we're finding now that children don't really have the diversity either, which could explain why many children now have more food allergies and asthma. and other different immune disorder functions that could be prevented by simply adding a better gut diversity. Research has found that diversity in the gut matters, and diversity matters, like I just said, for immune function for kids and for adults, but it also matters because bacteria diversity can actually protect us from different diseases that you develop later in life, different cancers. So they are a buffer for that. And when you don't have the diversity, you're more susceptible to getting a disease or cancer later on in life.